My name is Sofia Franco. I'm a lecturer at SAMS on aquaculture governance and innovation. So currently I do some research on public perception of aquaculture, on the impact of COVID and Brexit on businesses. Fish welfare is really key, not only from a public perception standpoint, but also from a productivity standpoint. So a fish that is healthier, that is less stressed, will grow better, will grow faster. Mortalities within farms can also be very, very costly. So besides being good for business, is good for the environment, is good for the consumer, there's the whole ecosystem around it which also benefits. Because we need to consider the welfare within the farm and the welfare outside of the farm. So if there are diseases within a farm, this can propagate to the outside, and it has all the ecosystem challenges associated with it. So it's important to consider welfare from a wide perspective of the animal, the social aspects, the environmental and the economic. If we look at the differences between farmed fish and wild-caught fish, from a consumer perspective, they are seen very differently. When we do our research on public acceptance of aquaculture, we see that in general the public prefers wild as a concept, as that association of the animals being free and having their life, and etc., etc., while the one that is farmed has that association of being factory bred, which is not representative of what we see in aquaculture as a whole, but the view from the public is really different. Is also different in terms of the perspectives on quality and the perception of quality in association to the price. So sometimes things that can be cheaper, like farmed fish, are perceived to be of lower quality. They don't necessarily are. There's always this perception that fish might not be as happy, or that there's necessarily a harm to the animals when they are in the farm, and this does not need to be true, right? There are best practices, there are ways to operate so that the animals are as healthy and as less stressed as possible. It also differs greatly in between the systems that they are produced, right? Whether they're in more extensive systems that really resemble the natural environment, they have very little interference, or whether they are in intensive systems. The debate on whether fish can or cannot feel pain has been going on for ages, literally. And I think it has gotten pretty heated, but we can all agree that the animals as fish are really well linked to their environment. They respond to the environment that they are surrounded. So if the temperature raises or drops, you will see a behavior change. You might see a physiological change also in response to the environment. And recent research also highlights lots of little bits of evidence of nociception, right? So that they might have a system that is comparable in terms of feeling pain. And what we see in terms of the position of fish farmers, we see them increasingly assuming that fish feel pain, and therefore I'm going to operate from that. I don't think it's the system itself that is unethical. It's not the fact that we are producing food that should be the base of something being ethical or unethical, because we need food, right? It's how it's done. It's a process, it's the conditions, it's the standards that we apply that will determine whether something is ethical or unethical. So I think there needs to be a more nuanced debate in here, if that's the discussion that we are having. Because if you were to ask, is fishing for subsistence unethical? Wait, you're fishing for subsistence, right? Surely that would be ethical, but you'd still have to ask a number of questions on that. Wait, how are you doing that fishing? What are you fishing, under which conditions? So it's deconstructing the context that will provide you the answer whether it is ethical or not. But from where I stand as a rule, I think it would be a very broad generalization to use. Public perception of aquaculture and what people think about the way that we are raising the animals. And in that sense, animal health and welfare comes across very frequently. It's a topic that sits close to the hearts of many people. And I think it can be really powerful information to pick what people think should be the standard too, right? Besides the standards that science are telling us, right? That this is acceptable, this is where the stress starts, this is where health is compromised. What is acceptable from a people's perspective, right? Maybe I don't want to buy fish if it's raised below a certain health and welfare standard that I perceive